All right, sports fans, how's everybody out there doing? William Martin coming at you one more time here on YouTube with another edition of the 300 Pounds of Sports Knowledge Podcast. Now, after a 6-7 season in 2021, along with an off season that saw players and assistant coaches leave Auburn in droves, things have not been looking good for head coach Bryan Harsin. Now, the athletic director, Alan Green, who hired Harsin, parted with the school several weeks ago. And with each loss for the Tigers football team here in 2022, the hot seat for Harsin is on fire. Now, a couple of weeks ago, we saw Auburn get hammered at home at Jordan Hare by Penn State, where Penn State just simply ran the football down their throats. Then we saw Auburn be able to squeak by at home in their last game against Missouri, but then losing last night at home to LSU 21-17 in a game that at one point you were up 17 to nothing is not going to sit well with the faithful at War Eagle. Now, to me, from the jump, Harsin was an ominous hire at Auburn because I really thought it was a panic move for them to get rid of Gus Malzahn. I know with Malzahn, he did have consistency with the program. It was a situation. He was 3-5 against Saban and Alabama while he was there. And, he was one of those guys that would give Auburn an opportunity to compete. Maybe not a national championship contender each year, but Auburn was a consistent team that could be a top 25 team. If you look so far during Harsin's tenure at Auburn, in each year they have begun the season unranked. And they got up to number 12 last year, but they finished the season unranked, obviously with a 6-7 mark. And it's going to be very difficult for Auburn to crack the top 25 this year. But for Harsin, I said it from the jump, coming from the Mountain West in Boise to the SEC is like night and day, especially with how things are done there. And I mean, it's not just the SEC; it's the SEC West because you got to deal with Alabama, you got to deal with Texas A&M, LSU, Ole Miss, Mississippi State, Arkansas, and there's no days off. And for Auburn, you're looking at a team right now. They're 3-2, and it's going to get a lot worse before it gets a lot better for this team because you look at Auburn's upcoming schedule. They're at Georgia on Saturday. And whenever it's between the hedges, it's you put the women and children to bed, so to speak. But you look at where Georgia is right now. They're a top 5 team. They're the defending national champions. And it's a situation where the talent level at both of these SEC schools right now, it's not even close. And for all of those alum that can't be thrilled by seeing Auburn lose at home to LSU after they had a 17-point lead, then turn around and let's just say, for the sake of argument, Georgia beats the brakes off of Auburn, like a lot of people expect to happen next Saturday. That's not going to help Bryan Harsin's case. Then from there, on the 15th, Auburn's at Ole Miss. They're undefeated right now. They host Arkansas on the 29th of October, at Mississippi State on the 5th of November. They host A&M on the 12th of November, and then of course they make the short trek to Tuscaloosa for the Iron Bowl on the 26th. So honestly, I don't see any scenario where Bryan Harsin finishes this season as Auburn's head coach. I think at some point he's going to be gone because there's going to be a couple of embarrassing losses, in my opinion, between now and season's end. And I guarantee you, the folks that support Auburn football don't want to see that. At the end of the day, Auburn just needs some semblance of order right now. Obviously, getting things to go with with a new AD, and then on top of that, that AD is going to have to go out there and find his guy to turn things around. And I think for Auburn, they got to get back to basics. They have to find somebody within that region of the country that understands not only Auburn football, but also understands what it takes to win in the SEC. That's what it's all about. And it's all about keeping up with the Joneses. in the SEC. It's only going to get tougher in a couple of years. Remember that when Oklahoma and Texas joined the ranks of the Southeastern Conference, but nonetheless, having to deal with the likes of Alabama, Georgia, Tennessee, is starting to get its footing once again. Florida is starting to show signs of life again. You still got Texas A&M, you still got Ole Miss, you still have Mississippi State and Arkansas, and I could just go right down the list with the gauntlet that is the SEC. But one thing's for sure, I don't see a scenario where Bryan Harsin is a head football coach at Auburn in 2023. And at the rate that things are going, I don't see a scenario where Bryan Harsin is the head football coach at Auburn come the 1st of November. So let's see how this month of October goes for Auburn and Bryan Harsin. And I would be very surprised to see him survive the month. But nonetheless, things look like they're on the verge of getting worse for Auburn before they get better. So, folks, that is going to wrap it up. And as always, I want to take this time out to thank you for tuning into the 300 Pounds of Sports Knowledge podcast here on YouTube. I want to take this time out to thank all of you fine folks out there for tuning in. And if you have not already, please feel free to subscribe to this channel. Now, if you're on Twitter, please feel free to follow me at 300 Pounds of Sports. And like I always say, if you follow me, it will be my pleasure to follow you right back. There's also the sports discussion group on Facebook at the Sports Depot 365. You can check it out. Drop a line and be a part of one of the better sports debating sites going on social media. So, once again, fine folks, my name is William Martin. I am signing off, saying take care and have yourselves a wonderful day.